गीत जिंदगी के सीखे विषयों पर जीवन हमारा मस्तक इस विद्या मंदिर को जीवन हमारा मस्तक इस विद्या मंदिर को वंदन करत हमारा इस शुभ
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Alright, should we start? Just a minute, hang on. Okay, I will let you see my screen here so that you are able to see my screen. Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, lovely. So,
Delegation to visit UK for developing Indo-UK scientific research collaboration. Besides this, Professor Ali has been associated with several academic and administrative committees. He has published his research findings in peer-reviewed journals of high impact and supervised 28 PhD students and number of short-term trainees. He attracted research grants from funding agencies like DST, DBT, SERV, DST, etc. He also served as resource faculty in several workshops in the country and is a member of editorial board of several journals.
very kind word. I hope you people are able to see my screen. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Please go on slideshow. Sir, slideshow on कर दीजिएगा.
Yeah, ये slide show ही है. I will. Okay.
Yes, sir. Perfect.
Okay. All right. Lovely. Before I go for my so-called lecture, I would like to express my deep sense of gratitude to Professor Sudhir Kumar, Head Department of Zoology, Lucknow University, and of course, Dr. Sher Ali Malik for very kind words she has used. I must mention that I feel extremely delighted and rather very, very humble for the fact that I am addressing you all, teaching, delivering lecture. Scientific data has always been a very proud privilege of mine. Today, I would talk about science in a slightly different manner because many of us who devote about a decade or more, at the end of the day, we feel that we are left high and dry, where we have to be very careful what all we can, I would say. But if you think that what I say makes a sense, that will be wonderful. Why do I say so? Is because I am very, very strong believer that a teacher should prepare the student to be able for them to face the future. And we can say anything, any ideology we can propagate, but at the end of the day, our education must be sufficient enough and good enough so that we can earn our living, mind you, earn our living. So with this, I go on for the quick appraisal of the so-called new educational policy. You all have seen 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. If you add up everything, it turned out to be 15. That means by the time you complete your so-called today's master program, you spend 15 years time. That means when you enter into the school, at the age of 3, you are supposed to enter into the school. Now, the government of India has talked about report card vis-a-vis progress card. So you will not be given report card where you will having out of 100 you got 60, for example, or 70 or 90 and so on and so forth. Rather, it will be your progress card. Very nice. If you, for example, 4 years course, you will have certificate if you leave it in 1 year time, that you know, if you go for 2 years, you study, you will have diploma. If you study for 3 years, you will get degree. Agreed. If you go for more than 3 years, rather 4 years, degree with honors. Very fine, very simple thing. I have nothing to say against new educational policy. But let me remind you here, that comes to you and to me, is that India is a country where we have close to about 1,000 universities, 45,000 degree colleges, and 110 lakhs teachers, that is 1 crore 10 lakhs teacher overall, 33 crores students, 137 crores population in India. US population is roughly 32 crores. Why US came in the picture? 137 crores population in India. US population is roughly 32 crores. Why US came in the picture? I'll share that also with you. Now, with this scenario, where is the problem? There is a problem. Problem is that we are very good in putting the blame for one government, another government, this and that. Primary education is the state subject. And if you look at the scenario as far as primary education is concerned, if you travel from one part of the country to far-flung areas to another part of the country, you would realize that there is a huge contrast. In village setup, teacher is not there. If teacher is there, 2 or 3 students are there, but they are not studying. And if they are there, there is no classroom, proper classroom. They have to sit on the ground. Even if they sit on the ground, there is no blackboard. Even if there is a blackboard, there is no chalk. Even if there is a blackboard and chalk, there is no book. So in other words, we do not have a education will be a prop I, because by year 2, this was 73 years that we became free from British rule. We make so many policies. When it comes to implement, we are unable to do that. We are very good in coming out with jazzy and flashy and make a big name is a problem. Students have great talent. However, this talent is not actually harvested. Government of India now says that everybody will get a platform to. Another question, if we have good teacher, fine. Do we have laboratory? At least basic paraphernalia. Another point, do we have educational or research environment and support system? The answer is, I leave it to you, because if I open my mouth, it will be never ending story. Why do I say so? Because I have traveled a lot in the country. Not of course during Corona, before Corona. So in other words, suppose you are lucky enough that you have done PG, that is post-graduation, simple MSc degree in any subject, biological science or non-biological science for that matter. Now comes the next point, find a good research laboratory. How many of you can say successfully that you will be able to find a good research laboratory that is going to be full of your satisfaction? Then the next question, to find a mentor who is not only a teacher, he doesn't only have a domain knowledge, sufficient domain knowledge, but he is also a good mentor, good human being. He allows you to ask questions and commit mistake. Why is it that in India, we try to learn as much as you can and develop interdisciplinary approaches? I'm extremely sorry to say that I spent 5 years and you got PhD, agreed, done. Now you have to go for postdoctoral training. Why? Because you want to enhance your experiences and broaden your horizon. In a PhD, in a good organization. Now comes the another challenge. How to find a good lab for a postdoctoral? Of course, you have to find a lab for a good postdoctoral study. This will be a good for your job. In job market, you will be respected. Now comes the point. By the time you complete your 3 to 4 years postdoctoral study, you usually burn out. Trust me, if you go abroad, work day in, day night, even Sunday and Saturday you are in the laboratory, sacrificing everything, no fun, nothing doing, just work, you get burned out. And thus, During PhD, keep a track of your health. This is your responsibility. Nobody will be there. Nobody will tell you. And overall well-being. Try moving upward gradually and slowly without getting burned. So this is your second lesson. Now, what I'm trying to say, when once you have completed, let's say 4 years or maybe 5 years of your postdoctoral study, and you have been able to publish a good paper, some good paper, you come back to India and enter into the job market. It would pose another challenge. You now need to formulate effective grant proposal, but that will not be possible for you. First and foremost, you have to get the job. How will you get the job in the job market? So what you do, when you are away abroad in foreign country, you start sensing through your friends and through your efforts and see if there is a job. Secure your job, then you come to India. This is the right way to do, rather than you come to India and then try to find a job. Nobody will look at you no matter how smart you are. There is a very beautiful thing in India. People who give you job and call you for interview, they say, oh, this work was done in US. He has not done anything in India. How can we think that he is a good scientist? You are gone. These are the same people who have been able to get induction in the educational system either by hook or by crook, and they try to find fault in you. So friend, my humble submission to you is that when you start thinking in terms of doing science as a career, think several things. Try to discuss this issue with your friend, with your teacher, with your well-wisher, and find out how good or how bad this choice of yours is going to be in the future. Now, imagine if you got a job, all right. Now comes the point. You need to formulate effective grant proposal and learn to manage money, man, material. You must also learn to deal with the publisher. Writing a grant you can write because you have been to different countries or different labs in USA or Europe or maybe other countries. Assuming that you have written a grant, you got the money. Then comes the next point. Who's in the institute and university will make your life miserable. You cannot easily spend your money. Every second paper you move, there will be objection. Those of you who do science will know that. And funding body, the day they give you money, the meter will start. So after 6 months, they will ask you for progress report. That will be your level of frustration 1. Now what? You want to save your skin, so you publish. You don't want to publish in very bad journal, but there is a pressure. Pressure to publish or perish, disappear. So you compromise. You send it to some journal. They reject. Why? Because you are in hurry trying to publish. Again, you try. Eventually, you end up publishing in a sloppy journal. Has no meaning. You try. Eventually, you end up publishing in a sloppy journal. Has no meaning. So, another point at this stage I would like to share. Many of the postdoctoral students, when they come from foreign country, in India, they do what their British or American professor used to do. Same theme, same research. This is a biggest mistake in my eyes for scientific career. You must develop your own theme of research. There are enough local problem that relates to country. But many of the people, they do not do. Why? Because they think, I'll continue to work on the problem that I was working in USA, and from India then I'll send the paper, it will get published in JBC or other journal. That may be true, but I personally disagree with that. Why? Because if you are strong enough, good enough, perceive your own idea, work hard, learn, keep updating yourself, you can publish very good paper, you can launch a new scheme, new project, new things, and so on and so forth. So, learn also to deal with the things, what we call manage money, man, material, and you must also learn to deal with the publisher. And always publish paper which has at least one sentence which is original. That means this study was not done earlier and this information therefore was not available, and we think that this is the original new information. In other words, originality is very important. Learn the art of effective communication, smooth conduct. You must attend meetings, listen to people who are good, who are excellent orator, talk to them, and you must be submissive and polite and humble, and see how do they deal with. Remain firm but cool in your routine dealing. Learn the art of economizing your time and that of others. Read on regular basis. Enhance your knowledge, what we call become street smart. Now comes the effigies of science career. I will take you to another situation. You are a scientist. Compared to non-science student, you will find that a position after 5 years of PDF is something like assistant professor if you are very lucky in the university. If you are joining private university, forget about it. Forget your career about it. In the job market, no one will pay attention to compensate you for the time you spend as a postdoctoral fellow in US or UK or Europe, other part of Europe. Thus, a person with a master degree in literature would become professor much sooner, at least 10 years or 15 years earlier than you, with a long productive international PDF. You may not notice, but financially you are a big, huge loser. You don't know all these things unless you become 60 or 65. And then also probably many people would not think. So, timely proportion in science is not always guaranteed, despite your hard work and sincere work. And the society or system would not acknowledge your enormous sacrifice you made. This brief overview must give you an idea about the perils of science as a career and challenges embedded therein. Go for something else. We are Indian. Girls, female students, they work very hard. They study. At the age of 20, parents start nagging them. Why? For marriage. If she is able to convince the parent, society will bug the female student. Now, imagine a situation if she is able to successfully manage everything, negotiate, has done postdoc, got a job, doing this, doing that, she has additional burden. Why? She has to look after family, look after husband, look after children, look after this, look after that, then she has to do science. This is a scenario where if you are a non-scientist person, let's say literature, any subject, history, geography, any subject, and you are a female person, your life will be lot more easier compared to a scientist who is working in the lab. This is my very personal observation based on my experiences that I am sharing with you. Friends, I am now going to share with you another dimension. If this does not deter you, that what I have said is not going to make you leave science as a career, you want to still become, I would say, welcome aboard for science career. Then what all you can do or you should do, and that I'm going to share with you for a while, that develop network. What does that mean? Develop network means when you are a student, MSc student, talk to your teacher, find time, ask, seek their advice, develop network, formulate some smart original project when you are already PhD, take the help of other smart people, read a lot, retain what you read, and come out at an appropriate time, build your career and your image. Why do I say your image? Well, that's a question. Let me share with you. I will not name the institute. I would also not name the scientist. In India, there are some scientists. They have done hanky-panky in their life in the beginning. Later on, they realized that this is not going to pay, so they became and they have been perceived to be crook. They have never ever been looked at by academies for the fellowship. Why? Because they have spoiled their case. So politely, I would like to tell you that you must keep yourself clean. Whether you reach to the top or not, that is different issue. Don't indulge in wrongdoing. Maintain therefore high level of professional and personal integrity in society. Today we need more honest people than ever, because we have lots of crook, and you can see very well what is happening in the society today. If you do not get what you deserve, do not fret. Let it go. It is nice to deserve and not to get, than to get and not to deserve. Now let me share with you. You might laugh at me. Trust me, I have applied so far for Vice Chancellorship of 14 different universities. 8 times I have been called for interaction. I did, to my knowledge, I did very well in the interaction because I did everything possible. But I was not selected. But I'm a very happy person. Why? Because I tried, I could not get. So it's nice, fine. However, I see that such and such university, such and such vice chancellor, and I find, wow, what a way. I mean, he's nothing. But then again, this is my perception. So what I'm trying to tell you, anything and everything in life that you don't get, don't feel bad. God probably has better design, better things for you. And you must therefore have abiding faith in the forces of nature. Be positive all the time, under every circumstances. Paulo Coelho is a Brazilian author. He wrote a book, The Alchemist. If you have not read it, buy it. It's probably 100 rupees, maybe 100, 200 rupees. You can buy it and you can read it in one sitting. Forces in nature will start conspiring in your favor and you can achieve anything. So power of positivity has its own place. And keep working with the same enthusiasm, motivation, sincerity. Sooner or later, your talents, hard work and dedication would be recognized. You don't have to worry. Don't go for awards and honors and this and that. It will come on your way. You just have faith. Talk to God Almighty. He will take care of you. Even if you are still deprived of your due, you would have enormous satisfaction. This is the best part that I have practiced all through in my life. Always. I have tried, did not get, forget about it. But I have satisfaction. Remember, nature subject you to a variety of tests. Friends, the so-called variety of tests that nature conducts on you is usually out of syllabus. And you feel so frustrated. But the way to go is that have faith, have some sincere friends, share with them. Once in a while, simply call them. You don't have to ask for any favor. Just call them, find out how they are doing, so on and so forth. And take the example of life science that has several sub-disciplines for that matter. Do not pursue every field just because that is enticing. Instead, select a field that you are an expert. Induct some good student if you are a teacher and happen to get a job after your postdoc fellow. And if not possible, keep working with your own hand until the time you have several students. Read the pulse of funding bodies and know what they want. Make sure of your academic network for attracting financial support. This is after when you have joined the institute as a scientist or as a science teacher and you have made science as a career. If you attract extramural funding, go for establishing a laboratory and start your innings. Good luck. So friends, this is something that I shared with you in nutshell. Why is it that we need to have a very clear mind as to what you want to do? Today, for example, if you do research, choose a topic where you can have certain level of originality. Original research that you do in any area is going to give you enormous satisfaction, if not a big, huge awards and honor. So, Shaili ji, are you there? Can you listen to me? Hello? Shaili?
Yes, I'm here, sir. Yeah.
So, how much time do I have to wind up? Tell me, please.
So, you can take another 15 minutes? 15
Okay.
to 20? Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, so now since Shaili ji has given me another 20 minutes, let me talk about science. Unfinished story of the human Y chromosome. This is something right from my student days. I was fascinated that in biological science, the smallest, so-called one of the smallest chromosome is the human Y chromosome. What on earth is there that is having? And I used to teach in the genetics section of Aligarh University that human Y chromosome, for example, has only 4 or 5 genes genes. But now we know that it has more than 100 genes. And interesting thing about the human Y chromosome is that if you look at this, if you can see the cursor, this has a huge chunk of so-called heterochromatin in the long arm of the Y chromosome. This is rather clear in here, and this YQH region that we have is the one which has an array what we call DYZ1, and this P1, P2, P3, they are all palindromic sequences. And if you carefully look at this map, which is apparently intimidating, it has genes arrangement in both the direction. And mind you, this is the single chromosome, doesn't have its homologue. And the centromere that you see in here on the long arm, which is on the right side, you have several genes that we have. But then we also have a series of genes TTTY, TTTY1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. They are all involved very carefully in an orchestrated manner for the normal spermatogenesis. Why am I using this example of Y chromosome to show you? Is because there are regions. Long arm of Y chromosome, what we call DYZ1, was discovered accidentally, more or less accidentally, serendipitously, by Howard Cook, a scientist in Edinburgh. He showed in 1976 that if you take the male and female genomic DNA cut with E3 enzyme run on the agarose gel, you will find one band 3.4 kb, which incidentally is not present in the female. And then he cloned and sequenced. He could not, at that time, clone and sequence because the sequencing technology actually emerged in 1977. After 14 years, a Japanese scientist, Nakahori, cloned and sequenced, and he found that DYZ1 has a repeated TTCCA, TTCCA, TTCCA. And if you look at the entire array, we have roughly 4,000 copies in a normal male. And this DYZ1, 4,000 copies in a normal male, is a very good molecular munshi. Molecular munshi means record keeper. Molecular munshi means record keeper, means the one which takes care of all the events responsible for mutation. And knowing this, for example, we realize that if this is a true record keeper, then two brothers, identical twins, have to show difference in this DYZ1 region. So one of my students in an II when I was working, he demonstrated that yes, it is true, and he quickly published the paper in BMC Genetics. Now this TTCCA used as a probe shows you male specific band in here, which is surely absent in here. This is 30 years old gel. If you wash the blot by 2x, technically this so-called background signal will disappear. We screened, found that in the population, we have all kind of males, Turner syndrome, Sawyer syndrome, cryptorchidis. Then we have instances of repeated Klinefelter syndrome, male hermaphrodites, oligospermia, and so on and so forth. And every such situation, Y chromosome varies drastically with respect to some of the loci. And sometimes you have a female that has a marker and therefore technically should be female, but then it is male. For example, P20 is female. It should be male because it has all the markers. You see, the vacant or the cube which is free is denoting the absence, and this is filled one is denoting present. So we tried to ask this question, and we found out that P20 patient turned out to be having a mutation in the SRY gene. Now I'll stop here and remind you how you, by having your imagination, can pick up clue from the research project. This I am using Y chromosome, I am using as an example. Alex Jeffrey was working on myoglobin gene, and he accidentally found that a blot shows multilocus polymorphic band. He still retained this X-ray arteriogram in his office, and later on he repeated the experiment. To his pleasant surprise, he found that his clone picks up polymorphic band, which he then converted into something called DNA fingerprint. And when I was working with Alex Jeffrey in 1977 onward, I found out that he's so passionate, so very passionate. He never took the class, never indulged in teaching, just research. So I realized that the passion plays a big role when you do science. Now look at this. This was just one case, that this patient P20 is phenotypically female but positive for all the Y marker. Upon analysis, we found that the female patient has 3 places where nucleotide has changed from A, T, G, and this G to T, and this G to C, and this T to C. This scenario tells us that is it something just one allele is responsible to convert the male into female, or there are more things? There comes the clue part which I wish to share with you. Such observation has enormous unanswered questions. So, unfinished story of the human Y chromosome. Now, if you have careful analysis of, let's say, 1,000 such males or 1,000 such females who are positive for some of the marker of the Y chromosome, you can conclude that this is the way it is happening. You can also use this for the diagnostic purposes. Why? Because every gene present on the Y chromosome, or every allele, that is alternate form of the gene, has its own story, and therefore that can beautifully be used for diagnostic purposes. And let me share with you one such diagnostic purpose. One thing we did in the context of forensic science. Working at NII, I used to be frequently invited for delivering lecture to CBI Academy, Ghaziabad, Kavinagar. And there, usually, officers used to be there, sometimes judges, print media, and other people. And I showed them that, look, there is no known technology even today that can show you the difference between DNA from germ sample, that is spermatozoa of the human, and blood of the human. This also we got accidentally. One student was working in my lab. Now she is in France, blissfully, happily settled there. That same individual, B1G1, B means blood, G means germline, you have a 400 base pair band, which is absent in the blood sample. So this accidental. What it means is that there is a DNA methylation. The enzyme that you use doesn't get chopped off, therefore you see this band. So this technical understanding and nitty-gritty that you see every day in science, if you are very careful, trust me, you can publish so much paper, you can have so much valuable data, and everything is going to be your own research, and this will be original contribution. DYZ1 is present on the Y chromosome that you see in here, but it could also jump from Y onto the autosome, for example, chromosome 11. And this boy, whose blood sample was used, of course he is no more there, but two things are there, that this picture, metaphase chromosome showing DYZ1 present on chromosome 11, they also show in the interphase nuclei. But the same boy does not have all the interphase nuclei that are showing these 2 dots. That means not all the cells have the DYZ1 on. That means we have something called Y chromosome related mosaicism. Now the mosaicism is the concept which several levels, and this is one such level. So getting the clue from this observation, we found out that a boy who was aborted, there was a pregnancy loss, frequent abortion case. We found that the boy who died immediately after some time after the birth, his blood sample we cultured, and this device Z1 is simply missing in this cell, in this cell, in this. In this, of course, a small signal is there. In this one, you can see slightly bigger signal, but there is a mosaic condition. And also the quality of the chromosome is like sick chromosome. You'll be surprised that healthy humans have beautiful chromosome morphology. Patient have sick or bad looking chromosome. Looks like there are large number of chromosome specific proteins that are either not expressed or they are expressed, but there is a problem of their folding. So because of misfolding, you can see the morphology of the chromosome. Today, after spending close to about 45 years in doing science, we learn a lot on this line. This paper, fate of SRY, PABY, DY1, DY3 and DSY loci in Indian patient harboring sex chromosome anomaly turned out to be very good for the purpose of DNA-based diagnosis, also for the cases what we call forensic one. So you see, this picture came on the cover page of the Journal of Oxford University Press, Molecular Human Reproduction, and the student who did this work is now in France. So we need to keep our eyes open, and we need to all build a hypothesis, then either to prove it or disprove it. I got a sample from Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar, and we found out that the so-called marker chromosome is actually derivative of the Y chromosome, which we studied and found out that there is an nucleotide and there is a deletion of 44 nucleotide. Likewise, we have done so many studies, and finally we went on and on and on, and we realized that there is a lot of rearrangement on the DY-Z1 region, and this can be used for the purpose of studying the health or the genetical status of the human Y chromosome. So if you look at this, at the end of the day, you would realize study, but then it also gives rise to so many other questions, and finally you end up share with you one thing, that inter-DAS region of the Y chromosome is present on the short arm of human Y chromosome. Global scientists who have published the map, they have shown this to be on the long arm of Y chromosome. We wrote the paper for publication, it was rejected. I went to Germany, got the European male boys chromosome, and we showed them that you can look at this, that the inter-DAS regions are on the short arm of Y chromosome. So you see, even sometimes the best brain, very smart people also make a mistake, but there is nothing for us to feel so excited. It was an observation, we followed it, we proved our point, and then we corrected this, finally was published. And these are all the data that I am showing you. So the has led us to mount and have a large number of markers for Y chromosome in fertile males and for their analysis. And with these words, I would like to tell you that our work has been very, very satisfactory, and we at the end of the day realized that lot more things can be done. But by the time we realized that lot more things can be done, I had to leave NII, and then in Jamia I could do whatever I could, and then again I had to leave Jamia. So when you learn how to do a bit of science, you don't have the platform to pursue your science, and that's exactly what happens. These are all some of the publications from our lab, starting mosaicism of Y chromosome and tandem duplication of SRY and DAS gene in patient with Turner syndrome. We have tandem duplication and copy number polymorphism of the SRY gene in patient with sex chromosome related anomalies and male exposed to natural background radiation. This is the paper, SEF somatic and microdeletion of copy number variation polymorphism of DAS gene. This appeared in Human Genetics, very respected journal. By the way, recently we got a paper accepted in Human Molecular Genetics. There used to be a time when this journal, Human Molecular Genetics from Oxford University Press, used to have impact factor 11.7. Anyway, this is the paper on glioma and glioblastoma by Masoom Saini, a student who has been working with me now. Of course, she is an independent scientist in RCB. And this is DNA research paper, genomic instability of DY-Z1. And this is SEF region. This is the one. Y chromosome shows similar structural organization, where we have shown that inter-DAS region is pretty much present on the short arm of Y chromosome. and unique signature of the natural background radiation on the human Y chromosome from Kerala. And natural background radiation poses no risk. This appeared in Nature India issue by Jayaraman, and so on and so forth. And of course, once in a while, our work was also highlighted in newspaper, Hindustan Times. You know, students feel very happy even they see their laboratory name and so on and so forth in the. Anyway, for me, it doesn't matter because I believe in different philosophy. Thank you very much. I think I should stop here. Lest I have, taken undue time. So with this, I would like to stop here and ask you to ask question or clarification. My email is known to Shailiji. Shailiji can tell you my email ID or phone number, and you can ask anything you want. Okay? All right, guys, I am here.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, some of us have joined on this Google Meet, but the students, especially, they have joined the YouTube streaming.
Yeah.
So there are some of the questions they have put in the chat box.
Okay.
And I begin with their questions.
Yeah.
So one of the research scholars have asked that since you were talking about the new education policy,
yes.
So she has asked that this policy allows students to change their stream and course from midway, and their credit course will be transferred to the other course.
Yes, it
Don't
is.
you think? Yeah. Don't you think this will end up with providing untrained or half-trained workforce available for the market?
It will. But then you know that everything has its own sweet time to evolve. The new educational policy also has to evolve with due course of time. There will be a problem. It is not going to be seamless as government is projecting. But yes, at the end of the day, probably we will learn many things and we will see that it really takes shape. So that's okay.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. There is one more question. But
Yeah.
as you mentioned, doing science is much more difficult in India for female students. Would you like to suggest any suggestion or any solution to this problem?
I would ask all the female students who wants to do science that don't do science, get married, have life, comfortable life, try to find a boy who is reasonably rich, not like me, sorry, and then go for a comfortable life. But if you think that you are not going to listen to my sermon, then go for it. However, must find a reasonably good human being, a smart scientist, a good laboratory, and find out his track record. If still that doesn't help you in India, then still Europe and US is always there. They will give you money, they will give you hostel facilities, they will give you lab facilities. Spend 4 years time or 5 years to do science. Stay there, do science to your heart content and come back to India if you want, or else सारे जहाँ से अच्छा, सारा जहाँ हमारा. For example, in Atharva Veda, chapter 72, para 6, it is written, Vasudeva Kutumbakam. And by the way, I am great lover and I have immense respect of Atharva Veda. Lot of nice things are there. Today, the global policy is such that the world has become a market. So also the education. But ours is the only philosophy in India that Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The world is a family. Family में क्या होता है? व्यापार नहीं होता, प्यार होता है. And the world market means world bazaar. बाजार में क्या होता है? व्यापार होता है. So we Indians should follow our traditional things and go for it. Yes, I say so because a person after spending for more than 45 years, bit more than 45 years, I feel really left high and dry. Not because I am done, I am feeling frustrated. Is that I have lost my lab, which I created at 2 places. Today I don't have lab, so I only teach and talk about philosophy. And that's frustrating. And that is why I say, damn it, don't do science. Those of you who want to do science, think twice before you do that. Or if you ever visit Delhi, see me and I will clear your funda when to do science and where to do science, with whom to do science and what for to do science. Science as such is nothing, not a bad thing. But the circumstances are so difficult today that less said is the better. If you ask me, am I frustrated? I'll say, yes, I am. Why? Because I'm unable to give so much that I have to my students. Even today, for example, I can talk about work for 4 hours, 5 hours without any comma and full stop. But yes, we all have to ensure that you have your own time, and then that's it. Shaili ji, keep asking questions. Please engage me. Tell Sudhir ji he can always call me to give another lecture online, whether it is program or no program, I'm always there. Series of lecture, 20 lecture, 30 lecture on protein biochemistry, protein folding, misfolding, forensic science, conservation of biodiversity, basic sciences, protozoan, parasites, fisheries. Any I would ensure that you enjoy. So no issue at all. Yes, next question, please.
Sir, I'm handing over the mic to Sudhir sir only. Now he will take care of the thing.
Oh yes, okay. Okay. Sudhir ji, namaskar.
Sir, namaskar. It is good to listen your new avatar, which is dealing with the education policy, cons and pros. But it is as enjoying listening science from you. Really, we are living in a different world now when we have started our research career and the teaching career. We are in a different circumstances here, and you rightly said that there are challenges, but the change is the law. So it was really nice to hear you. It is rather need always keep our request at the shortest time, but again I'm thankful to you, and whenever the circumstances or this COVID vaccine is a reality, I know that you know better than me, and it's a question from my side, because you are expert of that field, that how long it will take or can we become the fearless from the COVID?
Looking at the present scenario and monitoring the global situation, you can coolly say that at least we will take 1 year to be able for us to access the vaccine. And after, when we have the availability of vaccine, there is no guarantee that vaccine is going to work with every Tom, Dick and Harry in the same manner, because we might need booster dose. And if we need booster dose, then global population is 7 billion. If we assume one single additional booster dose means 14 billion doses of the vaccine. So there's a huge quantum of things that are required. And some companies have, for example, the vaccine which needs to be, Sudhir ji, which needs to be stored at -80. So imagine the logistic at -80 vaccine. How will you take it to different parts of the world where there is no electricity? In several African countries, we have very pathetic condition. Second point, you have to remember, if the vaccine is going to be kept at -20, then also this is a logistic problem. So in other words, having vaccine is one thing that we are dying for, but not having vaccine is one thing. Not having vaccine is a problem. After, when we have the vaccine, this will be having another logistic problem. The best way, for example, to cope up with the present situation is to ensure that you use face mask whenever you go out. Second point is that you must not unnecessarily meet people. Telephone call Zindabad, Google Meet Zindabad, this FaceTime Zindabad. And third and last point is that we must also learn what actual hygiene means. Because Trump did a mistake, he allowed people to roam around in USA, and USA, maximum number of people have died in USA because of this stupidity. And coronavirus is a single standard RNA specific virus. 30 kb sequences are there. These 30 kb sequences tend to mutate very frequently. And because of the change, scientists have not been able to find what is the region in the genome of the virus which is virulent. We cannot go for knockout. If we go for knockout, we cannot do that. We cannot do knockout for AC2 receptors in the human body, because the receptor, angiotensin receptor, is actually needed for the survival of the human. Everything in biology works in ligand and receptor manner. I have a couple of articles recently published on corona. I'll send you. So in other words, Shaili ji, even if we get the vaccine, that will pose another logistic constraint. Remember this. So we better behave ourselves. In Diwali, for example, everybody was told don't use patakha. Who cares? People use, in Delhi at least, lot of crackers were used, and we still went for shopping, rubbing shoulders and so on without mask. So you see, we Indians are very. It's nice to be Bhagwan Hanuman Bhakt, but it is not nice to behave like Hanuman. Monkey around नहीं करना चाहिए.
That's why science need.
Yes.
So with this happy note, sir, may I say thank you, and after this vaccine, my friends are eager to interact with you physically. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Honor was mine. ओमकार जी को मेरी तरफ से बहुत नमस्कार. मैं उनको देख रहा हूँ, वो सुन रहे हैं. संभवतः मैंने सोचा शायद वो प्रश्न करें हमसे, पर उनको शायद मुझ पर दया आ गई. छोड़ दो भाई, इनको है. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much. Take care. I log out. Thank you, Shaili ji. Thank you, Sudhir ji. Thank you very much. It was my honor. Great pleasure. Bye bye. Take care.